The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
All right. Hello, OPTAVIA. How's it going out there? I am so excited to be joining you this evening. I'm so excited to be bringing some information, some fun and interesting and cool stuff for you tonight. I'm so excited to be talking to you all about changing stuck habits. Changing stuck habits. How to change the habits that are really hard to change. That's what we're going to be talking about this evening. So I've got a lot of information for you, but let's go ahead and see who is out there. You can go ahead and put some information into the chat box there. I see Patricia has already said hello. Hi, Trish. And then we've got a couple more people. Hello from Garden Grove, California. Hello, Alyssa, Peggy, Rhonda, Beth, April. We've got tons of people pouring in for the Habits of Health support call. So excited that you all are here with me this evening. We've got Panama. Hi from Maryland. Who's from Maryland? I'm from Maryland. All right, fellow Marylander. That's excellent. We've got Tennessee, Rochester, New York. We've got people from all over the place. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Astrid. Hi, Karen. Hi, everybody. We're going to give everybody just a minute or two to hop on here before we begin the webinar this evening. We're going to talk about changing stuck habits, how to change the habits that are really hard to change. I got some very cool information for you guys tonight, and I hope that it's super, super helpful for you guys. Anybody that's felt really, really stuck, where they feel like they have this habit that they just can't seem to change, we're going to be talking about how to address that this evening. All right, well, hey, Chad, how's it going from West Virginia? And let's see, we've got Virginia, Florida, Fayetteville, is that Arkansas? Oklahoma, Flagstaff. We got people pouring in from all over the place. So I'm going to give everybody just about one more minute to hop on before we jump into the webinar and I begin broadcasting the information. So if you are just joining us, go ahead and say hello over in the chat box. I'd love to say hi to you. Maureen from Philly, Nancy from Florida. How is everybody doing this evening? I'm so excited that you all are here with me tonight to share this information. We're gonna have some good old-fashioned fun this evening. Well, fun for me. I like talking about habits and behavioral stuff. You guys like talking about that stuff too, right? Yeah, it's tons of fun, tons of fun. So we've got people pouring in from California, Rochester, Florida, Texas, all over the place. All right, so we've given people enough time here to join us. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so that everybody can see what I see. Click there. Okay. I have just shared my screen, so hopefully everybody can see that. Chris says we are a go, so that's good news for me. All right, so as I said before, we're going to be talking about changing stuck habits tonight. How to change the habits that are really hard to change, right? Those habits that are really hard to change. So if we've never met before, my name is Nick Frye. I am the behavioral specialist here at OPTAVIA. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor and a certified health education specialist. And my role within the OPTAVIA community is I'm a resource for coaches. I provide service, support. I provide behavioral health related information and coaching skills recommendations. Basically, my area of expertise is all of the behavioral, psychological, emotional aspects of getting healthy, right? So let's get into the information tonight. I'm going to be talking to you all about stuck habits. Well, what are stuck habits? What do I mean when I say stuck habits? I mean, they are the habits that are really hard to change. They're the habits that you believe are a part of your identity. And they're the habits that have stuck around for many years, hence the name stuck habits, right? So what are some examples of stuck habits? Well, have you ever said this to yourself? I've always been a late night snacker, or I'm such a procrastinator. I've never been a good sleeper. I never eat breakfast. I always forget to drink water, right? So these are those habits that seem to stick around to be part of us. They're just kind of part of our identity at this point, right? I'm such a procrastinator. Oh, I'm one of those people that never eats breakfast, right? You can hear the always, nevers, things like that. That's going to be important as we talk about them. So these are just a few examples of what I'm talking about when I say stuck habits. All right, so let's break it down. Well, stuck habits work just like any other habit, right? They have 4 parts. There's the cue, the routine, the reward, and the craving, right? Every single habit has these 4 components, right? And this is from Dr. A's Stop, Challenge, Choose ebook. For those of you that want to learn a little bit more about this thing called the habit loop, he's got that information in Dr. A's Stop, Challenge, Choose ebook. So there are 4 parts to the habit. You got to break it down. What's the cue? What's the routine? What's the reward? And what's the craving? Those are those 4 parts. And you got to understand the habit before you can change it. You have to understand what's going on. You have to become aware of what you're doing, what's happening before you're able to change a habit. But that's not it. It's not just the 4 components of the habit. It's what you're telling yourself as well. As I said before, have you ever said any of these things? I'll never. I always. I'm such a, I should, I can't. These are really powerful things that we say to ourselves, and they're part of our identity. Now think about these things in context of stuck habits. I'll never be able to change that, or I'll always be that, or I'm such a this. And these stuck habits become such a part of our identity that is a big part of what makes them very difficult to change. So, how do we change a stuck habit? Well, first and foremost, we have to deal with all 4 parts of the habit loop. All 4 parts. You got to deal with the cues. That's the thing that kicks off the habit. You got to deal with the craving. That's that desire or the urge to do the habit. You got to deal with the routine, which is the actual habit or behavior itself. And then you got to deal with the reward. What do you get from it? We always get something from a habit. Pleasure or relief. Pleasure or relief. We're going to go into a little bit more detail of that, what that means. But if we always get something from a habit, whether it's a good habit or an unhealthy habit, we always get something from it. So you have to deal with each of these components if you have a really difficult or stuck habit. All right, so let's go through each of these 4 components and what we can do to deal with them. We're going to start with the cue. Remember, the cue is the thing that kicks the habit off. That's the trigger that gets you going, right? And so we have to learn how to deal with these triggers. We have to learn how to deal with these cues in order to be able to begin to change a stuck habit. So the first way that we can deal with the cue, I'm going to talk about 4 different ways. I call them the 4 A's. We're going to talk about 4 different ways to deal with triggers or cues for habits. And the first one is avoid. Avoid people, places, and things that trigger the habit. Avoid people, places, and things that trigger the habit. So that means beginning to learn how to say no to people that don't support your health goals. Is there that person that says, hey, you want to go to the buffet after church this Sunday? No, I'm working on me. I'm working on my optimal health. I'm doing this different thing now. And that's okay to say no. You're not saying no to the person. You're saying no to the unhealthy thing. There's a very big difference in that. You still like the person. It's not no to them. It's no to the thing, the unhealthy thing, right? But it's not just people, it's places too, right? We want to avoid triggering places. buffets, unhealthy restaurants, bars, whatever it might be, whatever your environment is that triggers unhealthy habits for you. And you want to take control of your environments. That means eliminating triggers from your household, from your workplace, from your car. That's a big one that people don't realize. There's a lot of triggers for habits that happen in our car. Drive-throughs, things like that. There's cup holders. Geez, there used to be cigarette lighters in cars, right? Talk about a trigger for an unhealthy habit. So let's move on to the second A, dealing with the cue. Alter the cue. Now, you can change a trigger or a cue for a habit by changing the way you communicate and operate in your daily life. The most effective way is to be more assertive with your health. Talk to your friends, talk to your family about how they can help you be healthy, right? Talk to them about what they can do to support you. You also want to manage your time and energy so you don't end up in a dire straight situation. This is a big one for me. If I find that I don't eat every 2 to 3 hours, I get hangry. Everybody knows what hangry is, right? Hungry, angry together. Oh boy, I'm a monster when that happens. And not only do I get hangry, I overeat if I haven't eaten every 2 to 3 hours. So I alter that cue by not allowing it to happen. The third A, dealing with cues, is adapt. Adapt to the cues by changing your expectations and your attitude. All up here, right? If we make a mistake, look at the big picture. Will that matter in a month, in a year? Get back on track. Adjust your expectations. No one is perfect. Weight loss is not the only measure of success. Focus on your healthy habits, sleep, healthy mind, healthy relationships. Show gratitude. That's a wonderful way to deal with those negative emotions we sometimes feel, is to deal with them with gratitude. And finally, the fourth way to deal with the cue, the trigger, is to accept that some cues are unavoidable. You don't try and control the uncontrollable, right? You know, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be all of these cues that we run up against, and we need to accept that it's going to happen. We're going to get cued. We're going to get triggered. We're going to have urges, desires to do unhealthy things, eat unhealthy, stay up too late, procrastinate. Remind yourself that any challenge is just an opportunity for growth. Most importantly, get support. Get support. Call your coach. That's probably the best thing that you can do. So now that we've learned how to deal with the cue or the trigger, now let's deal with the craving. And we've seen this before. Stop, challenge, choose. So let's say you run into a cue, cues off this, triggers this unhealthy desire to eat, go through the drive-through, get some McDonald's French fries, whatever your stuck habit might be. You stop, take a deep breath to center yourself, challenge the urge, challenge the craving. Why am I feeling like this? What outcome do I want? And then you get to choose an optimum response. Okay, so far we know how to deal with the cue. We do a 4A. We either alter, we adapt, we accept, or we avoid. Now we're dealing with the craving. We stop, challenge, choose. Let's deal with the rewards. As I said before, every habit has a reward. Every habit provides something to you, either pleasure or relief. A habit might make you feel happy, satisfied, amused. It might make you feel comforted, calm, or relaxed. You need to understand what the habit is providing you before you're able to understand how to change it. Finally, the fourth part, you need to be able to deal with the routine. And you have to identify an alternative routine that provides a similar reward. This is very important when you're changing a habit, especially a difficult, stuck habit. If you change out a routine, a behavior, an unhealthy habit that makes you feel good with a healthy habit that doesn't make you feel good, that's not going to work. Healthy habits need to provide rewards just like your unhealthy habits used to. So pick things that make you feel good, that make you feel pleasure, happiness, delighted, or relief, comforted, calm, relaxed. Finally, we need to develop a new identity. Remember, all of those things that we're telling ourselves, I'll always, I'll never, I'm such a, figure out the person you want to be. If you want to be a healthy, vibrant, active, focused person, decide that's who you are, and then begin to act as if you are that person. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is about proving it to yourself with small wins. This is who I am. This is who I am now. I'm a healthy person now that enjoys sleep and loves drinking 64 ounces of water a day. And then you prove it to yourself. It's really important to prove it to yourself, to show yourself, this is who I am now. I am a healthy person. All right, so with all that context and all that information, we need to ground this in a real example. So I'm going to use me, my stuck habit. This is a habit that plagued me for years, staying up too late. I struggled with this so much, staying up too late, doing things, feeling like I'm missing out on something, or I could do so much more if I get less sleep. And oh boy, it would always just leave me so exhausted, so run down, so fatigued. Okay, so I need to understand my habit, right? My habit is staying up too late. Okay, so I need to identify the cue first. So when this happens, when I say to myself, oh, I'll just watch one more episode, Netflix, or I'll just scroll through social media for a bit, Facebook, these things, I get sucked into them. And that's the cue when I say to myself, just one more episode, or I'll just scroll through a little bit more. Well, then I feel, and here's the craving, I feel the urge to stay up, to put sleep off, to do the thing I want to do, right? Okay, so we've got the cue, we've got the craving. Now, what's the reward? I stay up late. I don't get enough sleep. I feel terrible, but I got to watch 2 more episodes of a show on Netflix, or I got to scroll through Twitter for a little bit or something, right? So that's the unhealthy habit. That's my stuck habit. But here's the thing. In the moment, what's the reward? What does it make me feel? I feel relaxed, relieved, and this is the important one. I get to turn my mind off. Has anybody ever felt that way? Doesn't that kind of feel like that's what you want? You want to just turn that mind off for a little bit, right? Well, that's what binge watching TV or scrolling through social media would do for me, right? That's the benefit. I had to understand that. And then, oh boy, here's my old identity. Here's what I used to tell myself. I've never needed as much sleep as everyone else. Lie. I'm such a night owl. I've always had trouble sleeping. Not true. These are just things that I thought were true because I chose to stay up, right? I kept perpetuating this unhealthy habit. So it became part of my identity and got stuck. So how did I change this habit? Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not 100% perfect with it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But when I do it well, how do I do it? This is what I do. First and foremost, I deal with the cues. Remember the 4 A's. Okay, so what do? I avoid the TV. I avoid the cell phone. I avoid any screens. I've got a bright line, right? I turn it off at that time. That's it. No more for the evening. I avoid the trigger. I altered the trigger by asking my wife for support. So if I were to say, oh, let's just watch one more episode, she will say to me, are you sure? Are you sure you want to watch another episode? Don't you want to go to sleep? Ah, thank you, wife. That's very supportive. Adapt. This one was crucial for me. I always saw sleep not as a restorative process, but something that got in the way of me doing other things, reading another book, learning a new thing, helping another person, whatever I thought it was. But the next day, I was never my best self to do those things. So I had to become thankful for restorative sleep. I had to change that cue by being grateful. Finally, I had to accept by viewing this challenge as a chance to grow. This is my opportunity to do something different, to grow and become a better person. So that's how I dealt with the cues. Next, I dealt with the craving, right? So whenever I get that craving that kicks off, oh, I just want to watch one more episode, I stop, take a deep breath, challenge. What am I feeling? I'm stressed. What outcome do I want? I want relief. Choose. I can get relief by journaling or reading and then going to bed. So I can choose an optimal response by dealing with the craving, with stop, challenge, choose. All right, then I had to deal with the routine. Remember, you have to replace the routine of the unhealthy stuck habit with a new healthy habit that makes you feel good, right? So that could be anything: reading, listening to peaceful sounds, music, writing down my worries, journaling, or reminders for the next day, or some kind of spiritual meditative practice, right? But remember, the new healthy routine needs to provide some reward or benefit to me. So what is that? Well, remember, I'm stressed before I go to bed. I want relaxation. I want to turn my mind off. So I needed an alternative routine that provides similar rewards. For me, most of the time, it's reading. It's a wonderful way to feel relaxed, to turn my mind off. Now, I don't read, Noam Chomsky or something like that before bed, something really intellectually challenging. Typically, I choose comic books because they're fun, they're relaxing, I can turn my mind off, stress relief. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Finally, I needed to change my old identity to a new identity. Who did I want to be? I wanted to become the type of person that makes sleep a priority. So that's my new identity. I am a person that loves sleep and makes it a priority. And I needed to prove that to myself with small wins. Stop the screen time earlier, begin nighttime routine earlier, get into bed, get to sleep, get up, feel refreshed. Those small wins in that routine, I built from those. We could call those micro habits of health, right? I did one, practiced it, did 1 and 2, practiced it, did 1 and 2 and 3, practiced it, did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You get the idea. Small wins to become this new person that loves sleep. So what did I do? I went from this habit of disease where it would be bedtime and I'd check social media or I'd watch another episode to feel relaxed to a habit of health. When it's bedtime, now this says take a hot bath, which I have done before and is quite lovely. Isn't that a wonderful, relaxing picture there? But I choose to read, remember. So, but whatever it is that provides the same relaxation, remember, see, look at this. The reward has to be the same. Relaxation, 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 really. It has to be the same in order for it to be successful. All right, so let's summarize here. Stuck habits, the ones that are really, really hard to change, the ones that feel like they're just a part of who you are. How do you change them? How do you overcome them? You have to first address all 4 habit components. You have to address the cue. That's the trigger. Excuse me. That's the trigger that kicks off the unhealthy habit. You have to avoid it. You have to alter it. You have to adapt to it, or you have to accept it. You have to deal with the craving. That's the urge to perform the habit. You stop, challenge, choose to overcome the craving, and then choose a new healthy routine. That's the third thing. You have to choose a new healthy routine that the fourth thing provides you with a benefit or some reward. It has to be pleasurable or to provide relief. It has to make you feel good. right? Finally, and probably the most important thing to overcome a really, really stuck habit is develop a new identity. Here is who I am becoming, and here is the proof of my new identity. All right, so that's it. So now you guys have all the information you need to be able to change any stuck, difficult, identity-based habits that you might have. And I hope that you all are able to have great success and take care. Have a great evening.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.